today we are welcoming Anthony, and he is touching on, he called it the digital gap in the gain. We just kind of breezed and said it was going to be about SEO and Google Ads mastery, advanced strategies. A little bit housekeeping notes. The ISFA emails always have the registration links for future calls and next meetings. The next meeting is is November 18th, I believe, because it's the week before Thanksgiving. We're just going to do it a little bit earlier this next month. But I'm excited to introduce our speaker, Anthony. He is the president of Milia Marketing, a marketing solutions firm based out of Cleveland, Ohio. They specialize exclusively in the stone industry, where their team of 18 helped shop achieve transformational growth. For the past 9 years, he's been helping shops across the US turn their sales and marketing investment into measurable results. What sets Anthony apart of his data-driven approach is he's not here to talk theory or best practices you've heard before. He brings real shop audits, real numbers, and real insights you can implement immediately. He's recognized as a thought leader in the stone industry and a regular speaker at conferences, including TICE, ISFA, and Rockheads events nationwide. Are you speaking next week, Anthony?
I'm not. We are going to
Yeah,
be
good.
there. I'll be speaking at
Nice.
an event right after that one in Tucson for All Slut
Awesome.
Fibers. Yeah.
And then he has this book, it's shared on his screen right now, called The Marketing Magnifier. I've read it, it's great. And it was written before ChatGPT, so he has his own
There we go.
insights in there. And then he works with some of the top fabricators in the country, and then he'll just share what he's learned from analyzing all of their sales and marketing processes he's learned so far. So join me in welcoming him. And then Anthony, are you okay if people kind of chat some questions along the way and interact as well? Or
Yeah.
unmute themselves.
If you guys can unmute at any time, ask questions, and feel free to put anything in the chat, whether it's questions or comments. And if someone could just monitor and let me know if that pops up, I'd appreciate that.
Cool. And
So
then the
yeah,
calls are recorded, so we'll have a place for you guys to view them on this
cool.
website too. So it'd be great.
Great.
Take it
Lauren,
away.
thanks for the introduction. I appreciate everyone being here. So I'd like for everyone to have something for note-taking during my short presentation today. And then also we'll have a bunch of Q&A time at the end as well. Keep your phone ready to take pictures. That's always nice to have if you see anything that you want to take a picture of and just store or also look at the recording afterwards. So excited to be speaking here for ISFA and helping shops get better performance out of their marketing and how you can be part of that journey. Again, as Lauren mentioned, my name is Anthony Milia, president of Milia Marketing. We work with fabricators across the United States to help them shed light on sales and marketing challenges through digital marketing solutions, where we help create systems for sustainable growth. And we've got an in-house team who have been in the trenches with shops from a 3-person operations to 100 plus employee shops, and we work with fabricators that are $5 million in revenue to $100 million plus uh, revenue shops as well. So the problems are different, but really the fundamentals are essentially the same. So, here's the thing, and Lauren can really, I think, back me up on this, at least I hope, is that we've probably analyzed more phone calls and forum sessions than anyone else in the industry. And that means like hundreds of hours of recordings, thousands of calls, and form submissions. And what I'm going to show you today isn't about getting more leads, because Stephen covered a good portion of that last month in part one. This is about what happens to the leads you're already getting, because most of you are spending money on marketing and then watching those leads disappear. So the problem that we'll dive deep into today is identifying the leaks in a real shop using real data, where you can apply what you learned here today within your own shop's sales, marketing, and customer experience. And as I jump in, I'm going to just do a little bit of an icebreaker as well for just some AI, because I feel like I have to do that. And I would be a disservice if I don't include something related to AI in my presentation. So I want to show you something that's going to help you change the way you think about photography, content creation, and marketing. So just as an example, put in the chat or just unmute yourself if you think the photo on the left or the photo on the right is real. Which one do you think is real?
I'm gonna hold back because I already know the answer to this.
Let's see what people guess. So Abby thinks the left is, Olivia thinks it's left, Sherry thinks it's right, Nick thinks it's left. So the answer is the left picture is real. The picture on the right is generated with AI where we wanted to add people to the photo. Now, we spent about 30 seconds analyzing and comparing the two photos, and we really couldn't figure out which one was AI generated or not. Some of you guys got it right. But really, we're all ready to use either one of these in our marketing. So you saw the professional lighting, the realistic stone installation, or center island. And it was really challenging to tell the difference. So this is where we are with AI photography and image generation right now. You can create unlimited marketing content that's indistinguishable from professional photography shoots. Whether you need photos of stonework in different lighting conditions, you could generate them. If you want to show your countertops in various like kitchen styles, you can create them. If you need lifestyle shots with families that represent your target demographics, you can make them in minutes. So what does that mean for your marketing budget and photography budget? Instead of spending $2,500 for per professional shoot and waiting weeks for results, you can generate professional marketing images on demand. It's for social media, your website, your sales presentations. It's unlimited content that looks professional. So let's do one more stab at it to see what you think here. Which one do you think is real? The one on the left or right? Let's see if anyone can guess this one. Abby thinks it's the right. Anyone else? Olivia thinks it's the left. So it's a bit of a trick question because both are generated by AI. And they look so good, right? We take an image or a photo of inventory that we have in stock of Taj Mahal, and we're able to go to an AI tool and say, generate a kitchen that has these types of lighting fixtures, this center island, white shaker cabinets with gold accent, and it creates the photo on the right. And then if we want to add people to the photo and decorations, we say add a family of 4 with Halloween decorations. Now imagine in a scenario where our websites as countertop shops are adopting to the season, right? So now we don't have to buy props, we don't have to stage people, we don't have to hire actors. But the accent countertop website, when it's Halloween, which is in what, 3 days, all the photos are Halloween decorations. And then as soon as Halloween ends, it's now Thanksgiving. And it's people gathering for family meals around their kitchen island, right? And then it's Christmas, and then it's the next holiday. So those are all things that we can do, whether it's an ad creative or website. So just something to think about. Another one is the inventory to fireplace scenario. So if you think of something like taking a slab from your inventory, like the one on the left, and that's a picture of my dog in front of my in-laws fireplace. So her name is Lucy, and I wanted to see what it would look like by saying, hey, put this slab on my in-laws fireplace and see what that looks like. So now I could visually think of, do I like this? If I were to remodel my fireplace, do I like this or not? And your sales team could be equipped to have this information as well. Now, you can get into the details, like the vein doesn't really match on the slabs, right? But we can correct that in the prompting stage. I do want to dive right into the meat of my presentation, which are where there's leaks in the funnel and where most shops are commonly leaking profit and revenue as it relates to sales and marketing efforts. So we have like 6 of the main leaks that we've identified, which is speed to reply, the first touch. We have the discipline of logging the leads properly, whether it's from a phone call or a form fill. And then the accuracy of that logging discipline as well, the speed to quote, follow through activity, and then quote expiration. And the other one that we kind of coined, which is BAM FAM, and that's book a meeting from a meeting. So always ensuring that the next appointment is confirmed with the customer and never letting them off the hook until you get a no from that lead. Now we're going to use a real example from about 18 months worth of data. Steven talked last month about Google Ads and SEO, and it's basically how to get leads. Great content, foundational stuff that you need to know. But today we're going to talk about what happens after you get the lead, because this is where most shops are bleeding revenue and they don't even know it. So again, this is 18 months worth of data, over 3,700 leads captured, around $28 million in revenue potential. And if you look at the split of this is not really uncommon to see when you're running marketing campaigns is a quick snapshot like this, is 79.6% of the leads are phone calls, not form submissions, not email inquiries. Those are phone calls. So nearly 3,000 phone conversations over 18 months. That's about 165 calls per month, 5 to 6 calls per day. And only 20% of those came in as form submissions. So the reality is that 80% of the leads that are being generated for this shop in the Midwest are picking up the phone in this example, which means that 80% of your success or failures come down to what happens when someone answers that call. When you understand where leads disappear, you can fix it. And when you fix it, you're not talking about spending more on marketing, you're talking about capturing revenue that's already coming to you. And before I continue, does this look pretty normal on what you might capture as a shop or what you might have seen internally as a shop? Like the total leads and breaking it down by calls and submissions? Because we're going to take this a little bit further from here. Lauren, this sounds a little, okay. This does look common to you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For
Okay,
sure.
good. So we're going to dig into this a little bit more, where just looking at how most of those phone calls came in. So breaking down where those calls are coming in, marketing is working. Google Ads alone brought you over $8 million in opportunity. Google Organic, another 5 million, which is dominating search. But what you see is maybe Facebook ads for this shop example is only making up 6.3% of the leads that are being generated. Should we continue investing in a platform that's only generating 6.3%? So this isn't too uncommon to see when you're investing in marketing, for being able to see where these leads are coming from, and especially the phone calls. And then secondly, you see over 700 form submissions where Facebook ads didn't even make the list for being a lead driver for form submissions where they did for phone calls. So that tells us to potentially shift the budget to focus on driving more phone calls from Facebook ads rather than forcing form fill objectives. And for this shop in particular, and what we see across the board with our own portfolio is that people would rather call than fill out a form. And we see this across the board. And what you also don't see, or what you see there is only 3.7% of the form fills, is that Facebook Organic made the list, but it's low. So guess where the shop spends a lot of their time and attention, but isn't driving the performance? Social media organic posts. What does that tell you about strategy, how it's working? Is it resonating with their audience? Should they be spending more time or less time on it? Where should their attention get spent? So these are the decisions that we can consider making. Now, some of the key insights when you look at this at a larger scale, Google dominates 59.1% of the calls, 43.2% of the form fills. Google Ads is the number one lead generator for this specific shop. And the recommendation, if we're looking to plan for 2026, is now we can start shifting our marketing budget to the platforms that are working really well for us. But here's the reality when you're generating about 3,000 calls, is that the team answers about 90% of the calls, which is really good. But when 38.8%, they're not capturing the full names, 15% of the phone calls, they're not confirming the callback number, 96.4% don't collect the email address, 100% no project address is collected, 100% they're not scheduling or tracking the appointments, 85.5% They're not properly qualifying the leads on that first call or that first impression, and 100% don't capture the project detail. So the shops are spending money to capture these leads, but are failing at the basics to collect the most basic information to move that lead forward and provide a great experience on that first call. So this isn't a people problem, it's a systems problem. And systems problems are fixable. Now, the cost of not asking and why it matters, because when you don't collect complete information, there's three things that happen. 76% of the calls for this shop example, you can't get accurate estimates because you don't have the project addresses. So you can only give ballpark numbers that are either too high and you lose the customer, or too low and you lose the margin. Yeah, 67% have vague scheduling. When you say come by anytime, it results in a 15 to 25% show up rate. Compare that to when you say, hey, Lauren, come by tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. You're going to meet with Susan, who's our design consultant, and they're going to pull out Taj Mahal for you to look at because that's what you're interested in, which gets an 80 to 90% show up rate. 44% have no timeline discussion. So you can't prioritize leads or create urgency. So the cost of not asking these questions is around $16.8 million in annual revenue, which is at risk from poor information collection, which starts with the first touch and the first impression after a lead is captured. Now, here's an example of a real call on the left and an optimized call on the right. When you see that transcript that comes through and you say, hey, thank you for calling shop's name. How can I help you? The missing information that is not being asked for is really critical for moving that prospect along. The shop just paid for a lead. But when you see this scenario on the left, it's happening on most of the calls. So what this is telling us is to put our best foot forward and to modify what that looks like on the right to collect the most basic information, full name, project address, timeline urgency, budget range, specific appointment, and then logging that lead into your CRM or ERP. Now, when analyzing, your shop's leads over the last 12, 18 months, this is some of the information that you can pull, especially when you're pulling in transcripts from your calls from the inbound leads, or even the form submission details. For this shop's example, when you're analyzing 3,000 plus calls, is that they had two really big leaks in their own system, which are number one is the missed call percentage. How many calls are they missing during hours operation, which is around 9.4%. And when you equate that to the revenue potential, that's a big chunk of change over 18 months. And that's all for missing calls. The second one is the percentage of calls of people that are calling in after hours. When your shop is closed, the homeowners want to talk to somebody, but no one is there to talk to. And it goes to voicemail and they hope to receive a phone call back the next day. Now, let's go into the behavior analysis of the receptionist for this example too. When you're tracking these calls, you're pulling in these transcripts, and you're seeing how the customer's behaving, the receptionist is behaving. Now we can provide better training and coaching and analysis on these leads, direct marketing budget and strategy. And we're seeing for the behavior of the receptionist is that 49% of the calls are put on hold, which is nearly half of the calls. 7.8% are transferred to voicemail. 16.4% are transferred to someone else, and 2.6% are transferred to somebody when they're knowingly unavailable. So is it more of a sales experience opportunity where if we just improve and pull on some of these levers to improve, then the sales close rate increases? And might be less pressure on marketing, right? Because marketing leads it's working, but it's falling through in the gap which we're identifying. Another example. So someone calls in, thank you for calling. I'm going to use accent as an example. Sorry, Lauren. How may I help you? Hi, I'm looking to get a quote for kitchen countertops. Okay, let me transfer you to sales 1 moment. And then it goes straight to voicemail. There's such a massive opportunity for just transferring it to somebody that is available, right? This is a missed opportunity. It's so easy to do this. But if we can set a standard to transfer calls to someone that is knowingly available, then we have a better shot at closing the deal. For the first impression, that receptionist role or that front desk role is so important for a shop, especially if they're the one responsible for moving that lead along or to the right person. So what we see is, do we either have a dispatcher, which is the one on the left, or do we have someone that is enabling leads to move forward and helping the sales process and aligning sales and marketing and customer experiences? Any questions so far? While I just want to pause there.
I think something to add um to this too is like when you're training or molding whoever this like person is to like enforce that asking about how these leads are coming to you can't be assumed that they are just like, because we always want to develop a lead source, so you can't just assume that someone calling in is just going to be labeled as a call in. You want to know, like, okay, did they Google us? Did like, how are they finding our phone number to be able to call in? So I think instilling that in like the sales team and like whoever is answering the phone, any type of customer service, so that they're fully understanding that like there is an initial action that someone takes to be able to find Accent or any other company in order to be able to talk to someone on the phone. It's not assumed that someone just drove by and walked in. You want to know like how did they find our address and things like that. But so I think that's something to like be like, oh yeah, like we still need to know if they saw us on social media or on our website or heard from a friend or something like that. Like instill that into everyone in the company's brain, and then everyone kind of gets on the same page.
And recording that information somewhere, someplace
Yeah,
is important, right?
yeah,
Because when
definitely.
when you do that day in, day out, making it a standard at a place like Accent, and then 12 months from now, you're looking back at the last 12 months, you can run a report on what are my customers saying and how they found us, and then what is our marketing tech stack saying as well. And that drives the next 12 months of strategy for sales and marketing based on that feedback alone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think then it can help me in my role and whoever's in charge of the marketing team to be able to be like, okay, this is the direction. We can see clearly that those leads are coming from this place. So let's focus
Yeah,
on that.
yeah, for sure. Anyone else have any questions, comments as we'll keep going here? Abby, Olivia, Nick, Donna, Sherry. I could keep going. All good. Awesome. No, this is great. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. Okay. So we'll keep now. What is the customer saying on the other end? So we're kind of picking on the receptionist or the person that's answering the phones at our shop, right? But now what is the customer saying, and how can we use that within our sales and marketing strategy or ad creative, our ad copy, our website messaging, and how can we improve that experience? Now, understanding the customer language reveals the buying psychology. And again, this is data for this shop specifically. So when you run your own report, you might get differences in what your own customer is saying. So for this shop, 73% immediately mentioned cost or price, and only 12% mentioned quality. So when you think about that, when 3 out of 4 customers lead with price, your team responds with price. It's a price war. There's low margins, right? None of us really want that. So it's how do we train our salespeople to respond with leading with value rather than objecting with lower pricing or discounts. 28% asked about financing. Either that's a budget concern, or it could be your greatest opportunity to be great at selling financing. 31% use the word cheap. And these are really just signals about their buying psychology. And if you miss them, you really lose control of the conversation. So if we break it down further, is you have your high frequency of what words are being used on the financial side, mentioning cost, price, expensive, budget, cheap, financing, payment. And then you have the medium frequency, which is process related words. You have the value words and then urgency indicators. So how can we utilize this information within Google ad campaigns, within email newsletters, within Facebook ads, within our call scripts, with any type of marketing campaigns? How can we incorporate what the customer is saying, either to describe what they want to buy and make it easier for them to understand it? So the problem is that when customers use price language, your team matches that language. When you could be doing the opposite, which is shifting them from cost to value and knowing how to solve those objections within their first impression within your shop. And then you are able to kind of put them in different buckets. You have your research, price shopping, ready to buy stage. Because not all customers are in the same place. You have your research stage. They're asking about what do you have? Tell me about the options, what's available, and I'm just looking. So your team needs to reorganize or recognize these stages and respond differently to each. Because right now, the same generic response is provided regardless of the buying stage. And when 73% of customers mention price, but only 12% mention quality, your staffing's training on how to shift that conversation from cost to value. Because price buyers become value buyers when you educate them properly. Now let's bring it to coming to an end here. So bringing it full circle, with the complete information, you provide accurate estimates. You can prioritize projects properly. You can schedule actual measurements. You run follow-up marketing sequences. You create timeline-based urgency, and you qualify budget opportunities. Because without it, you have generic ballpark estimates. All leads get treated equally. You hope that they visit someday. There's no follow-up capability. There's no urgency. And there's a lot of time wasting on unqualified leads. So the annual value of calls that are missing critical information for this shop is 16.8 million. And that's the cost of not having a great sales and marketing system, especially when they're working separately. So when you take the example on the left of an actual conversation example, they say, no problem. Let me get one of our salespeople to give you some pricing on some cheap granite options. They should be able to help you out. And that is a real call, real example from a real shop. And that happens commonly. Or we can shift the attitude and the training and the coaching to the one on the right. With my pleasure, I'll connect you with one of our design consultants, removing even the term salesperson or sales from our terminology. Removing the phrasing no problem and saying my pleasure, because by saying no problem, you're implying that there's a problem. A few more examples of recognizing the language here on what is being said on the receptionist end. So no problem being said in 67% of the responses. 23% of the confirmations, they said yeah. 19% said sure thing. And then there's other things like our salesperson will help you. Let me get a sales guy, talk to someone in sales. So by shifting some of the language on the left to the right, it now positions our shop to have a much better and cleaner sales, marketing, and customer experience than the shop down the street. The data shows customers want to buy from you Now it's about capturing and converting more of that demand into actual sales. So we're all investing in marketing. You guys are generating leads, but where we see the most common leak in the funnel is that first impression or that first person that's answering the call, recording that lead into the CRM, following through and following up, and utilizing this information to just plug the holes, plug the leaks, have a better 2026, and create a better system. So you guys can grow together and work in alignment with the different departments for sales, marketing, customer experience, rather than working in silos. Any questions, comments as I wrap up? I want to make this last part of it as a Q&A, whether it's related to my presentation or just things related to sales and marketing.
No questions for me, but this is all really great information.
Thanks, Sherry.
I'm wondering if you can touch on a little bit, like other ways and advice on how to use like AI in our marketing teams. Some little tips.
Yeah, the image generation piece is something that we lean pretty hard on. Most shops struggle with generating photos and video content because jobs aren't finished, cabinets not, sinks aren't installed. It's a dirty job site. So leaning on that, especially with incorporating the seasons and props and models, right? Incorporating AI generated people within your own real photos, that could be another thing too. The analysis of reports is also another area of opportunity where if you have trouble understanding a sales or marketing report and utilizing AI to help you understand it in a way and provide different insight and recommendations based on what it thinks or can read in between the lines, right? That might not be easy to decide on. Anyone else have use cases on how we can incorporate AI or what you have done within your shop?
What tool do you use for your AI image generation?
For image generation, we use Gemini's Nano Banana. We think it's a little bit better than ChatGPT's image generation right now. But for video generation, we're in between like Sora 2 and VO3, which is Sora 2 is ChatGPT's tool, and then VO3 is Gemini's tool.
I've used it to just like give me ideas on like campaigns over a period of time. So like we're working on mailers to like homes that have recently sold. And so just like giving me like if I give it a concept of like I know kind of what I want it to discuss, and then okay, the next 6 months I want to send a monthly one. Like what would you suggest like each of those topics should look like? And then should we cater it towards the time of year, towards any like specific times of the year that the homes sell better in, or people want to see different things in, and it will give you like a pretty good idea. I never like fully am using things to a T from AI because I think it can give you like ideas and then it will lead you to even better ideas that like with knowing the industry will do better. But I think like if you don't have, I mean, a lot of these companies, it's only like one person doing marketing and maybe someone helping them. But I think if you need someone to like bounce ideas off, it's like a really good tool to start using and implement in that way. It's just like something simple, but I mean, there's so many different things to do, but I think
Yeah,
the best way is ideas
there
and concepts.
idea generation, idea creation is a big use case for it. Like for me personally, I've created like my own digital twin, which is like trained on my role and responsibility, and now I can ask it questions and maybe play devil's advocate, right? So what I found is like even my team, they have their own digital twin, like and they can ask questions as if they're talking to another teammate and get feedback almost immediately.
That's awesome. Because I think it also, I mean, especially if you're someone that's doing multiple roles like marketing and something else in the company, I think it could get you in like a good mindset of like, okay, no, from the marketing's perspective, this is really what you should be leaning towards, even though like some things like accounting wants to creep in your head or different things want to creep. But like if you can keep that kind of marketing mindset and have it help you with that, I think that's awesome. I should make a little twin. I heard someone talk about, maybe this was on one of our trainings, Anthony, that someone like a CEO made an AI version of himself because he like over
Yeah.
time told it who he was and told it stories. And then his staff will now go in and like ask it questions before going to him in person. I think that's so funny.
Yeah, I took inspiration from that same idea as well, and I think my team will definitely ask it for raises if I launch it out to them.
That's funny.
Which is not a problem, but
Yeah,
I think it's a great use case too. To you don't have to go to the real person every time if something else is trained on the how to answer those questions almost immediately.
hmm or just small things. Yeah, that kind of are time wasters and things like that. That's helpful.
Yeah.
I think Sherry needs to make that for herself.
I agree. Yeah, I heard of a guy, Todd Officer from Tennessee,
Yeah,
one who
yeah,
told me
that's who
he was doing that. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
it's so funny. I love it. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're a talker, then just while you're driving all the time, talk to it and
Something that's actually underutilized with the tool that's getting more usage is talking to it rather than typing.
mm-hmm.
So it does have the voice icon, whether it's on your computer or your phone, and talking while you're driving or talking while you have it loaded on your screen here. Uh, it it absorbs that information way quicker rather than you spending time to try to type it out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just voicing your thoughts, and then it could do the magic after that.
Mm-hmm. I haven't really done a ton with that, but I do have the app. Um, Something else, yeah, that I've used it for, because you talked a little bit of analysis for your reports, is I like give it reports for all the branches that I manage, but like you can upload, I don't know if everyone knows this, but you can upload Excel files and things like that and train it to be like, okay, this is what the data says, can you form it into this? And you can have it make you charts and graphs and all these different things. It's like pretty amazing what it can do. And I mean, something like that would have taken me maybe an hour or two was like, I mean, 10 minutes to make. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, just making sure that the data is right with the
Yeah,
output is important, especially
for
when
sure.
you're using it for sales and marketing efforts, because generally when we're creating graphs and presentations, right? If we are putting something together and then the data is inaccurate, the business owner or shop owner is making a big decision based off of what
For
we're
sure.
presenting, right?
Yeah, that's definitely important. Sherry, were you gonna say something?
No, no, I
No,
won't.
I'm also trying to think of other things, but and then I mean I don't know if everyone has just like chat GBT yet, but you can make projects within your chat GBT. So like if you know you're working on different things, like you have a project for just your SEO, like you can do chats within that project to keep you kind of on task and have it learn from that project, and keep yourself organized. Because I feel like I'm guilty of just like randomly making another chat for like a whole new topic instead of trying to like keep it organized so that it can learn over time what you need help with and what you're kind of looking for. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm kind of guilty of that, but try to
I'm
keep
gonna I'm gonna
organization.
I'm gonna call on Evan there. Evan, do you have any questions or comments from what I covered during my presentation that you'd add from what you've seen other shops do, either related to AI or just marketing efforts? I'm gonna see if he unmutes. If not, I'm gonna walk in the conference room to go grab him because he's about 20 feet from me. Let's see.
I have Chat GPT, but I haven't done enough enough with it really. I've used it for a few things, but I haven't really just dove into it enough. I just haven't had the time. It has saved me some time though on a lot of things that I have tried it for.
So in order to do a report, oh, go ahead, Evan.
I was going to ask, so what is one of the most common things that you see among shops, either that, could have opportunity to improve on, or areas of strength for engaging with calls coming in?
I think the biggest gap I've seen, and I'll rewind just a little bit, is that we can all appreciate when a customer or potential customer fills out a form because it's documented, it's in writing, it goes through our inbox, it gets entered into the CRM almost automatically, right? But where we see the biggest disconnect is that the phone call experience, people are calling in, sharing that they want to start a project with you, and then the disconnect is that that phone call information is not being entered into the CRM because it's a phone call and it's not a form fill. So collecting that basic information, having the CRM pulled up as you're collecting information, filling out, and then you're able to move that lead through from like lead to qualified to opportunity to quote to deal won or closed. But what we've seen is that by doing that, you can just track, inbound lead to quote ratio and then quote to close and other deal stages, right? And some shops, what we've seen is like because it's a phone call and they haven't sent a photo of their kitchen, they don't consider that a lead. But you have someone right now on the phone expressing interest in maybe an $8,000 kitchen project, and because they didn't send you a photo, they're not entered into the CRM. You just paid for that lead to call you. Enter it into the CRM and track it.
I think something I think about and like I'm stuck on is trying to figure out how to influence the rest of our internal employees that like these phone calls are crucial. Like, because to me they're crucial and like, but I'm not answering all of the calls, right? So it's like, how do you like enforce that behavior of like, okay, like to help them see the vision long term, right? Because I don't know, like it's hard for me to convey that to others within the company that aren't involved in marketing and sales.
Yeah, I would say thanks, Sherry, for joining. Appreciate you joining. Lauren, I would say that an example that you can run is that identifying a few calls in the last 14 to 21 days and then checking with your system to see if it's logged. So if you identify a few great calls and see if it's manually logged into the CRM, that would show a disconnect between what they might think as a lead or not and what's captured. That's kind of probably how I would approach it. Evan, do you have any, would you add anything to that? Or anyone else sitting, Jennifer or Chris sitting next to Evan?
No, I think, I mean, I think that's a really key point about any lead that comes in, logging that into the system just gives you visibility on what is and isn't working. If you only log any lead in that you deem to be a qualified lead, then you're only looking at a portion of the data. You're not, there's no ability to improve on your quality, your service, and it's just a skewed perspective. And so being able to log everything in as soon as it comes in, not a few days later because you could forget about it, not after 3 or 4 conversations, an initial touch point, allows you to look more fully at the data, and then also allows you the opportunity to continue following up with them, and that lead, that potential customer, not getting lost in the pipeline.
I would also add to what Evan had mentioned is that if you have the right technology stack within your shop, you can integrate the incoming calls that are coming in, automatically get sent to your CRM, transcribed, and assigned to a sales rep. Rather than relying on manual data entry, it's automatically done for you. And then that is like a foolproof system, right? But that only works if you have like the data stack to support it.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask
I've seen
about
that work. I've seen that
integrations.
work really well with like HubSpot and Pipedrive.
Mhm.
If you are on like a true CRM.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, because it's like then there's this turnover of like people and then engaging and enforcing this kind of mindset again. It's like sometimes I just don't trust anyone. It's like, okay, if I know it's there, then and I've set it up to do its job and it's automating somewhere, then it's like where I feel the most confident, honestly. Unless I'm literally going to answer every call myself, which is so
Yeah.
impossible, but yeah. Cool. Thank you guys.
So guys, if there's no other
Anyone,
questions,
yeah,
I think we're good.
good
Abby,
to go.
Olivia, Donna, thanks for joining.
I know, it's great.
Evan and the team didn't have a choice to join.
I love it. Yeah, thank you for joining. Yeah, Abby says thank you. And our next call will be on generating and following up like a pro. And then again, we'll do that on November 18th, a week earlier than normal. And then we will email everyone on this call to sign up, but also watch for the links in the ISFA emails as well. And then on the ISFA website, you can go back and watch this call or send it to others to watch as well. But again, thanks, Anthony, for coming and speaking with us today. I personally have a lot of notes and a lot of great takeaways, so I hope everyone else does as well. And thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you all next time on Marketing Made for Makers.